Yo, was anyone else hyped even though it was very, very short-lived, literally like a page short-lived, with the return of Julius Novochrono in his somewhat peak form? Again, it's not quite there, and I have some things to say about his design and stuff like that, but I'm not even gonna lie, getting a return like that was very unexpected. I loved it, and I was like, yo, why was it so damn short-lived? Black Clover chapter 281, between Julius Novochrono going in. Again, it was so short-lived, and so like I was at the same time disappointed. I'm like, I want more. Damn, Naisho coming through, two giant devils, getting insight into exactly the history and origins of devils and how they're manifested, so to speak, in the world. Mario Leona going in, the House of Silver, the king is scared, Asta and Liebe, devil union transformation coming through. Like, if this isn't Black Clover greatness, then what the hell is, fam? I think we gotta talk a little bit right now about some of that Black Clover greatness. The Dark Triad let something loose that I can't even describe right now. Let's get into it.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
So this chapter, honestly, it felt a little bit different than the norm for Black Clover. Like, the first page or two alone was very exposition heavy, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tabata was somewhat inspired of the last Jujutsu Kaisen chapter. Don't worry, no spoilers, just say that. A lot of exposition in that chapter in the first few pages, and it seems like Tabata's like, I could do that shit too. Let me show you guys right now. I'm gonna give y'all the history of devils, and I wasn't mad at it at all. Like, if you're gonna give us exposition into something that is very pivotal to the plot that hasn't been really explored yet, let's do it. I mean, we've been already knowing about devils for how long now? Ever since the big reveal in the elf arc of the devil that was taken over, and on top of that, ever since we found out that Asta had a devil in his grimoire and shit like that, we've known about devils for a while. So getting that explanation in the beginning of the chapter was very valuable, very well done. People might get a little bit upset like, oh, it's so much to read, but it benefits the story immensely to have that big exposition dump, so to speak, because it starts off telling us that demons are a miracle born from human hatred and powers from the underworld. So already that's very interesting. So essentially you can create a demon yourself. You can create a devil if you think about it. Like, if you hate someone enough and then you have an intervention from the demon world or from, you know, those type of powers and whatnot, I could create a devil. And if you think about it, that kind of makes sense, going back to when Lit went nuts and turned into that giant devil that we saw in the beginning of every episode. It was because he had that hatred that he couldn't control after what was done to his people and everything that happened with the first Wizard King. All of that manifested on top of a connection to the devil that he was, you know, maneuvering shit around, and he turned into a devil. So getting that full, clear explanation of it. They say Tabata don't be doing exposition, but he did his thing. And then it goes a little bit even further of finding out more about these two giant devils, because now we have these two giants that at first I thought maybe one of them was like the very first devil that we saw that turned out to be Lit, but you gotta remember that that was the skull that is in the Clover Kingdom. Like, that devil is long dead and gone, because those two devils in particular are, well, once upon a time were two royal youths that were close friends in the Spade Kingdom, the Spade Nation. And after a while of them having like affection for each other and whatnot, eventually their affection turned to hatred and they became demons, and they fought and eventually were sealed away, which, to be honest with you, is like, it feels like an amalgamation. If I was to give a comparison, an idea somewhat, again, it's its own thing, and I don't even think it was inspired by it, but my best way of like comparing it, like, imagine a Hashirama and Madara type of scenario, but essentially both of them turned into demons in their battle, and like they're historic, and the Spade Nation would be Konoha, I guess you could say. Like, really weird, I know, but like that's the best comparison I can think of off the top of my head of what that kind of feels like, except again, it's completely its own thing, probably not even inspired by it. However, the Triad has continued to make moves because apparently they released them, and that's something that I'm a little bit kind of trying to understand and wrap my head around, because remember, one of them was already out before the Tree of Qilfoth went wild. Before Morris did his thing in the last chapter, Mereoleona was already fighting one of them. So how was it that the Triad freed them? I mean, I guess because they were in the human world already, they were able to, like, maybe they were just stoned and they were sleeping and somehow some way they woke them up, and since they were here, it's not like you gotta free them from the gates of Demon World or whatever. But that was just a little bit, I wish it would have been a little more explained. But either way, Xenon is like, you know, giving us like, yo, we did some more evil shit. And I ain't gonna lie, it does feel like a little bit of a bummer that we're seemingly getting the screen time that we would have had with the Dark Triad sacrificed in order to do the other grand scheme things. And don't get me wrong, a lot of this is very, very exciting. These giant devils, the two that we didn't really get in this chapter, the ones of the highest order from the first layer of the Devil World and things like that, like those are great and exciting things to explore, but I'm a really big fan of the Dark Triad in the small amount of time they've been around. So the fact that like now when we're seeing them, they're only being used as, you know, adding exposition to the plot and other things. It's like, no, I want to see y'all going in. Like, especially I got new transformations last chapter. Kick some freaking ass. Come on. So I was a little bit bummed we didn't really get more of those battles, especially like, yo, this could be hype. And the fact that the anime is now coming to a close and it's not going to touch up on any of this at the very least in this run. So like, man, this could have been great, honestly, even like filler, adding extra battles and shit like that for the anime. Like, why is it ending? I know I'm trailing off, but yeah, I'm sad as shit about that. But we cut to Mario Leona fighting one of those giant demons again, and it seems as though he's been powered up because remember, Quillforth went down and now he got back up, and on top of that, he's able to absorb mana with his wings. And honestly, if it wasn't Mario Leona, whoever would have been fighting him, I would be scared for them. The fact that Mario Leona has more heart than probably majority of the captains of the Clover Kingdom, you think she gonna get scared, fam? Like, yo, she was shit on you. Like, Gray would have died of a heart attack right there, okay? Somebody like Gray, which it's so unfair to compare Gray to Mario Leona, but I'm just giving an example. Like, Mario Leona, even if she's somewhat nervous or some shit like that, she's having a great time at the same time. So, oh, you couldn't absorb mana with your wings? Oh, that's so great. This fight is gonna be even better. I'm gonna fuck you up, but it's gonna be great. And then we cut to a really awesome build up for later on in the chapter where we see Julius is talking to somebody that is shadowed out. And to be honest with you, at first glance, until I reread the chapter and had the pre-knowledge, I was like, man, that kind of looked familiar, but who is that shadowed out that Julius is like, yo, I need a little bit of time to store up this power and whatnot. I know you're not a captain, but can you help us out? And it makes total sense. Like, we've seen, especially if you watch some of the anime original episodes with Damnatio and how Damnatio actually, like, his power could be very useful. I mean, even the small times that we did see him in the anime's canon and stuff like that, the story's canon for that matter, his power was kind of like, okay, this could actually do some things. But yeah, Damnatio, formidable person, and even then, like, yo. And we see, like, Tabata's trying to give moments to a lot of people. Granted, he won't give Magna and Zora any moments. Like, yo, whatever happened to Zora? Like, put that motherfucker on a milk carton at this point. Likewise with Magna, like, where are they? But we see the captain of the Purple Orca doing something. He's basically trying his best to stall and back down one of these demons that is essentially going to, they're going straight for the capital or whatnot, straight for where the king resides and shit. And the captain of the Purple Orca, which honestly, ever since we had the replacement of that one dude, the one that was like robbing shit, the one that looks like a chubby Mayuri Kurasuchi from Bleach, like ever since he was replaced, like this captain of the Purple Orca, let's be honest, he hasn't really done much of like anything like stellar, so to speak. I mean, his biggest role probably was the battle he had in the Elf Arc, and it wasn't even really technically him. But Tabata just giving us an idea of just how much like all over the place shit is going down. Like, you see the king is scared as shit, like, stop this motherfucker. And then you got the House of Silver, some of the random mages, which we still haven't seen, like Fuegoleon, Nozel, a lot of the other important characters. So I'm hoping that Tabata is waiting for like the upper echelons of the next layers of Quillforth once those things are open to start throwing them in there. Because again, we've seen the captain of the Purple Orca, we've seen some of the lower tier members of the House of Silver trying their best, and even they're like, yo, I trained for 6 months and all I could do is divert attacks. The build up in this chapter of just how strong and how monstrous these two devils are, it is insane. And it actually adds really nicely, again, the fact that we got that exposition. So I'm kind of like a little bit, oh, okay, so they were two friends, and I wonder if that's going to play into how they're defeated. Like, they were friends that eventually like started hating each other and fighting. Maybe luring them to one another might cause them to start fighting, and then they'll take themselves out. And then we start diving into one of my favorite scenes of the entire chapter, because Damnatio shows up, tries using his scales magic, but this monster is so monstrous that he can not take out completely all of its mana, which, damn, Damnatio, like, yo, you thought you was the hot shit a few arcs ago, huh? You ain't shit now, you wanna be Baby Aizen, Sosuke Aizen looking motherfucker. Take that! I'm sorry, I know that was mad petty. That was arcs ago and we're fighting for the fate of the Clover Kingdom, but whatever. But then we cut and we see Julius Novochrono 10 years forward. He used a magic to progress his body 10 years forward, which at first when I saw that, I was like, yo, has Tabata forgotten how to draw Julius? I mean, I know it's been quite a few years since he's drawn the design, but then I had to think to myself for a second, well, this is 23-year-old Julius. The one that we seen throughout the series as an adult was like in his 40s and shit, so he's going to look a little bit different. He's going to look a little bit sharper, not as many wrinkles and things like that, but I was just a little bit like, it doesn't look quite the same. But again, this is 23-year-old. And I ain't gonna lie, I was hyped and disappointed in literally a page and some change, because like Julius starts going through, he's like burning through the devil's arm and shit, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. And the very next page, Julius gets zapped back into his small form, and I ain't gonna lie, that moment right there and people's reaction to like, oh, what happened with the Wizard King, what's going on, kind of reminded me of like the All for One battle with All Might, when All Might shriveled down and everybody was looking at him like, yo, number one hero, what happened to you, what's going on here? Because like the public still at this point didn't know that Julius, you know, what happened to him and the elf arc and shit, that he's basically a kid now. So that's gonna be interesting to see the fallout of all this, of everybody looking like, so Julius is a kid, or are they gonna come up with some type of lie and just politically hide the fact that, yeah, Julius been a kid for a while now. Your Wizard King at the very least is a not a toddler, but a preteen. And then when we get that giant dialogue, which I'm not sure if that was somebody saying that or was that the narrator, where it says, in this world, magic is everything. And then we see Asta and Liebe showing up, driving through with their sword, and they are going into their Devil Union mode. I was curious, was the art unfinished, or was it just to give that feel of like, you know, just the blast of them showing up and attacking that giant devil? Because it kind of looked like it could have go either way, but it was very, very hype, and I cannot wait to see the Devil Union mode next chapter, if it gets shown. They might tease us, and next chapter we just cut to Asta laying on top of the dead devil or some shit. But woohoo! This chapter did really, really good for world building, exposition, just the history in general of the Black Clover world. Like, I really liked how Tabata took a different approach. Am I disappointed that Julius was for like one fucking page? Hells yeah, because I was so hyped and it was like, no! But overall, this chapter, the build up, it was a build up with epic action, awesome detail, and just in general, like, Tabata's really cooking. Like, I don't know, this is one of the finer chapters of this arc in terms of, again, giving us like information and it paying off very nicely, because now I care a little more about these two devils. They're not just two giant idiots that I'm like, who cares? Like, okay, we know a little bit about them now. We know about their rivalry and what happened to them in the Spade. Is that going to have any consequences in the future? Like, are people going to start turning into devils? Is that going to have something to do with Asta and Liebe's Devil Union, of the whole idea of essentially your hatred and this anger, so to speak, combined with like supernatural underworld powers to create a devil? And yeah, I'm really curious what you guys thought about this. For starters, how did you feel? Were you disappointed or just excited overall to see 23-year-old Julius for that page? Your thoughts on Damnatio not being able to do shit? How do you feel in general about the two giant devils that are running amok right now? Asta and Liebe's Devil Union, again, we haven't seen the transformation, but them showing up at the end. And your overall thoughts and expectations for the Black Clover manga with chapter 282 and beyond. I can't freaking wait. So laugh for this one though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, please. Have an awesome day. Peace in. And yo, Devil Union mode, let's go!
So just go to